Hi, Kim.
Hello.
First of all, thank you so much for agreeing to do this podcast with me and taking the time out of your schedule. I'll do a
Pleasure.
quick intro of how we know each other first, but then I will hand over the mic to you so that you can do a proper introduction about yourself and your career. So we know each other from while I was working at Telstra. You were a career coach there, specifically around career transitioning, and I was an individual undergoing career transitioning at the time. Um, Fortunately, we kept in touch, and I enjoyed your conversations. I enjoyed your LinkedIn posts, so we kept in touch over LinkedIn. And this was 2021, so it's almost 5 years, 4 years. We've kept in touch over small posts and comments and replies and things like that. It's been wonderful, and thank you so much. I'm glad to have you on. Can you give a little bit of an intro about your career journey and how you got into career coaching?
Thank you so much, Hore. It's my pleasure to be here. And I love that question because every career journey is a story, right? There's so much that happens which cannot be captured in like a conversation, but then the emotions and the experiences are something worth talking about. I started my career in HR, and that was my passion. HR was everything that I loved doing. And initially, my ultimate goal and dream, hooray, was to become the head of HR for an organization, and that was I would live and breathe that dream. And then one day it happened, and I was fairly young, like I was just 35 back then. I look young, I'm not that young, but back at the age of 35, I became a HR director of a large multinational. And when I got the offer, it blew my mind away. I was like, oh my God, my dream has come true. This is amazing. First day on the job, I was like, okay, where am I? What am I supposed to do? So much like fear, so many questions in my mind, imposter syndrome. I was like, oh my gosh, like these people will know that I am incompetent and I will fail this. But thankfully, it didn't happen. I did not fail it at all. I pushed through. And then being an HR director was one of the most beautiful experiences I had, including all the tears, all the endless hours of work, everything, because it gave me so much learning about myself. But at the same time, because I had an imposter syndrome, I was always worried about people finding out that I am a loser. And that got me on to a journey where I wanted to reflect on myself, be better, improve, do better. And that's when I started taking coaching for myself. I didn't really understand coaching at the time. In fact, coaching was very new back then, but I invested in it and it changed my life. And that's when I realized that HR are the kind of people who coach others, but not, they haven't been coached by them, like
Themselves.
they haven't been coached themselves. And that's when I wanted to change things around a little bit. And I wanted to coach people. I wanted to help them. I wanted to help them grow. So I shifted from HR, my career in HR, to coaching. And at the time we met, that was my first coaching stint as a career coach in Telstra. And that's when we
Okay.
met. But then there's more journey after that too.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that because, especially, um, it is very difficult to see people sharing vulnerable stories there so that people can learn from that. Especially any leader who has gone through that leadership journey of stepping up from being an individual contributor would have faced imposter syndrome at some point, and they would always think that, am I doing the right things, right? And it's well and good if you actually have a mentor to support you and say, yes, yes, you are doing the right things. But if it is a more dynamic environment where you have to figure things out on your own, things are a little bit more tougher and you have to sometimes tough it out. So that's definitely a very interesting career journey that you have. And from that, I did have a sneak around your website and your services. And I know a little bit about it from your LinkedIn post as well, but I wanted to actually come to the services that you offer as well, because the way I see it, you have three different services and collectively it is actually very holistic. So I want to first talk about the self leadership mastery side of it, because the initial years when I started following you, you did talk a lot about confidence, you did talk a lot about imposter syndrome, you did talk a lot about how you master yourself, and and then comes the rest of it, right? So I think the three services are very complementary to each other. But let's hear a little bit about the self leadership mastery course that you have.
Self leadership mastery course that I have, Hore, is a journey of my own. It is here because I have grown as a coach. I have learned so much about things. When we met, I had started as a career coach and then I became a confidence coach. Confidence is one of the aspects of, in fact, a very key aspect of self leadership. But what is self leadership? Let me tell you, I'll be talking so much about it. Self leadership is developed sense of the ability to manage your emotions, your fears, your thoughts, and your behavior. So, whatever is coming out of you, which is the behavior, is well thought through, it's controlled, it's in your hands rather than it being reactionary or it not being in your control. And that is a game changer, Hooray. Like once you know what emotions coming, once you know whatever you're putting out to the world is a choice, things change. And self leadership mastery is based on that concept. Do you know enough about yourself? Firstly, that self awareness, is it there? Are you able to be self disciplined? Are you able to regulate yourself enough? So, everything, it's all about, are you able to behave in the way you want to behave? So, it's all about being very consciously aware of who you are and what you put out to the world, which is self leadership. And the course, it's an intro program, it's a 6-week program where I teach a beautiful framework that's called SLAM, Strategic Leadership Alignment Model. And through this framework, it's like a step into self leadership mastery. How do you become more capable and control your emotions and thoughts better?
Yeah, I will. That's great that you mentioned slam, but I want to actually get into that quite in
Oh,
depth.
yeah.
I want to come back to that EQ side of things, right? Where you mentioned about self-awareness and self-discipline. One of the items there is the self-discovery of understanding yourself and understanding how you react to things. You mentioned about us controlling our own emotions before it comes out, but you can't really control things that you don't know about. So I'm guessing that there is a self-discovery phase in that as well.
Absolutely. So self awareness is self discovery. You know, how firstly being aware of what is it that you do? What is it that you feel? What is your thought all about? Which direction does it go? What's your focus on a day-to-day basis? There's a beautiful statement somebody said, which was, wherever your focus goes, that's where your energy flows. So it means if you're focused too much on your emotion, you'll be feeling things all the time. And the question is, are you aware that you're focusing on your emotions so much? And do you understand how to create that balance between what you feel, how you think, and how you behave?
And Kim, I'm a very visual thinker. So when you mentioned about focus, where your focus goes, there your plans go further behind that. I do. I used to at least ride my motorcycles. Now I don't ride it anymore. I sold my motorcycle. However, one of the big things that we get taught when you go for your advanced rider training sessions is that you always look where you want to go, because if you look at the road, then you'll end up on the road. So that part is very important. And look, I've successfully used that when helping my kid learn a bicycle, right? I was helping both of my kids learn how to ride a bicycle, and I was drilling into the head, you look where you want to go and the bike will come with you, right? So I know it's a completely different context, but it just reminded me of that.
It's absolutely relatable. It's all about our focus. And self-awareness is being able to shift our focus in the direction we want,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. Now, I when I was leading teams, what I used to do is, if I have a new team member and I want to quickly understand how they operate, I have some tricks in terms of building that rapport very quickly. And one of the things that I use is, if I have the budget, I'll go for something like a Clifton Strengths Assessment, or there is a disc based assessment as well. There is also the free 16 personality test, which is more like a horoscope, which you'll find on the web. But I'll use some of these tools to try and get some sort of data based conversations, which then we can align ourselves on. So, for example, the Clifton strengths might show that you are more focused on the execution side than on the communication side. So then it helps us to understand each other. Okay, this person is coming from a more execution standpoint, whereas my strengths lie more in the communication. So we can say see where we complement each other, and we can see where we kind of clash with each other as well. Do you have any techniques of self discovery? And I might pause a second before you answer that question. So repeating the question, essentially, yeah, discovery models. So I've used discovery models before and it has helped me. So what sort of discovery models do you have, and how do you use them?
Okay, so obviously the discovery models that you use are more focused on the helping people execute stuff, right? My discovery models are more focused on knowing your inner self rather than how do you appear in a certain situation or what your capabilities or what your skills are. I am more focused on knowing yourself intimately in terms of what emotions drive you, what are your innermost fears, are your beliefs or limiting beliefs that limit you, beliefs that limit you, that hold you back. So I'm not good enough, I'm not valued, I'm not competent. It's very like, it's deep thinking, it's deep thought, and it's understanding the many layers that exist within you. And one of the models that I love very much is shaped like an avocado. And since you're visual, I'd want you to think about
Yeah.
an avocado. And avocado has layers, right? We have layers as well. The outer layer of the avocado is what you see when you're picking it up and you're like, this looks nice and juicy from inside. That's our behavior towards the world. How do we behave? Does the world see us? Right? But no matter how the world sees us, it's not who we are within, right? It's not who we are entirely. The world just sees the outer the outer layering, just like the avocado. But then when you slice up the avocado, there's this green mushy part. And the green mushy part is our emotions, is our reactions. It's who we are within us by ourselves, our fears, how we think. That's the green mushy bit. Knowing like majority of my work is spent here. How do you understand your emotions better? How do you understand your fears better? But within that green mushy bit, there is this really beautiful little teeny tiny ball. If it did not exist, the whole avocado wouldn't exist. It's the seed, it's the root, the core of the avocado. Just like that, a core exists within us as well. And that core is how we were born. That core is, how we are, what is the essence of us. The core
Yeah.
describes that. And at the
Yeah. It's
core,
also
we are
the purpose of the avocado, right? When you think about it, like, so the avocado is there, but it is actually trying to propagate the seed, which is its core.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And at that seed or at that core, we are nothing but love. We are nothing but compassion, kindness. All of the good things are within that core. But then that green mushy bit, the emotions and the fears, kind of like it's the layer on top that overrides that core. And understanding ourselves at that core and at that in our language you call it crud, is very important, because you can either behave, which is the outer part, outer layering, through your emotions or through your core, which is compassion and love. And what are you choosing to be is based on where you are within that level of awareness. And my work is to make you understand those layers and help you step into your core qualities, which are the essence of who you are. So we've gone a little bit deep into this conversation
No, but this
around.
is good, right? Yeah, this is absolutely good because the main thing is and this is where I believe your course and your content is slightly different to what I generally see outside with coaching, because I see coaching usually addressing one of that problem, right? As in, okay, like, you need to be emotional intelligence was one of the terms that was used before, like, IQ and EQ is as important as IQ. So there was a lot of uptake in emotional intelligence related courses at one point in time. What I love about the way you have structured your next course, which is essentially the Confident Leader program, is a bridge between it's all well and good when you know yourself, but then how do you translate that into your team, and how do you execute it for your team? And I feel like that actually connects and brings the next dimension of how practically you can use it. So I would love you to talk to us about a little bit about that program and what that entails?
So, two words, confidence and leadership. Like these two words, I can talk hours and hours on just these two words. Confidence is something I've been working on since 5 years now as a coach. Like as HR, I did a lot of coaching as well, but as purely a coach. And when I started my work, where I'll share a little story here because it's relevant. When I started my work, I wanted to really understand, is this needed out there, right? Do people even need confidence? And my focus was managers, people who were like aspiring leaders. They wanted to step into the leadership shoes, and they were exceptionally good at what they did as individual contributors. And I interviewed 200 professionals at the time. Majority was HR because HR is my passion, and I could connect on with HR professionals, being one myself. And what I discovered, Hore, was that about 80% of those people were struggling with confidence, had an imposter syndrome, and weren't sure about their leadership capabilities. So they were exceptionally good, but they didn't know how to step into that leadership, that leader. And that's when I realized that this is needed. Confidence is an important aspect of who you're becoming, not who you are, but who you're becoming. And confidence is makes or breaks your success or your career or your profile, right? So, confident leader is one who has that trust in themselves because without it, you cannot be an effective leader to others. So, confident leader is somebody who can effectively lead themselves. Who does, I mean, there's an aspect of self leadership mastery as well here because, it's my work has evolved over time. So, confidence leader is somebody who's able to master themselves and then help others master what they are capable of. So the Confident Leader program is a 12 session program. It's very intimate, it's very deep. It's a one-on-one very coaching which is very focused on making sure that you know your capabilities not just as an individual but as a leader and are able to step into those leadership shoes. When you're trying to step into the leadership shoes, the focus moves from execution to leadership. And leadership is strategy. Leadership is knowing the decision making, knowing when to stop, knowing when to start, all of that. It's not just purely deliverables and execution. And the knowledge will come only if you're confident in yourself. So the Confident Leader program focuses on helping you become that. So it's very introspective. It's very it's all about knowing yourself from within.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, and when I started my leadership journey as well, um, I had a lot of drive in terms of doing whatever I had to do, whether it is team management, whether it is like delivering for customers. So there was a mix of guiding the team, but also the pressure of delivering the outcome for the customer. Now, I'm pretty sure that my team would have found me a little bit strange in terms of my leadership when I was stepping into it during my early years. And what I can recall from my early years is that I did ask one of my original teams, the first ones that I actually led, how was it working with me? And this is a couple of years down the lane when I was more comfortable leading teams. So I went back to a couple of them and asked, like, hey, how was I as a leader when I was working with you? Because looking back, I don't see that I was that great. And, I've made so many errors in how I communicated, how I did not come across as a leader. And one of the things that stuck with me was that, look, you had a couple of good qualities that allowed us to know where you were coming from. And that was you cared, and you cared about learning as well. Learning, like how much we learned. So yes, you were a bit rough around the edges in certain aspects of that, but we knew that you cared for the team anyway, and it is coming from a place of good intention, and that you do care about learning, and you wanted you to learn and you wanted everybody else to learn. So one of the things that I might add from my own leadership journey is that hold on to one or two qualities that you actually have. Like, there is a reason why you came down that leadership path, right? And for me, that was, I cared about team and I cared about people wanting to learn, and I wanted to learn. So the only reason I'm adding that part is because a person listening might think that I have to be first confident so that I can be a leader, and I have to be a better leader at the start. But it's kind of not possible, right? You have to start somewhere. and then get to that stage. And probably you have seen this with your clients as well, and you have some comments.
Oh, yes, I do. And it's mostly about the fear that you hold. It's not really the confidence, it's the doubt and the fear. And confidence and doubt have an inversely proportional relationship. The more the doubt, the less the confidence, and vice versa. And I have so many examples. I have worked with so many people on their confidence. And what I realized was after working with them that confidence isn't something that's built, it's there. It's just the access is missing, and the access is being like, it's missing because there's fear, there's doubt there, right? And when we talk about the avocado, confidence is at the core, is at the seed, and the doubt and the emotion and the fear is that green mushy bit. It's about helping people access it, and you can access it without knowing, without experience, and then you build the experience on top. So it's about feeling the fear and doing it anyway, and then the
Yes,
experience
yes.
comes and keeps making you more and more and more confident. But that first step, that's important. How will you take that? It's a make or break situation right there. Will you apply for a role that's like one step ahead of you, up like above you? Maybe it's a leadership role. How do you know you're ready? You don't know you're ready, but you have to overcome your fear and try it out. And only by trying it out and by making mistakes, and then by getting that role, you're going to keep getting better and better. None of us were born leaders. None of us came into this world knowing, what to do. It was through
Yes.
trial and learning and experience and practice and falling down and getting back up again. It was all that journey. The element that needs focus on here is the fear through it all. If you're able to manage your fear through it all, you've got it. If you don't, then you need a little bit more help. But that's it. You always have access to confidence.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it. Like, as in my head, it was always visualized as you build up towards your confidence, right? But the way you have turned it around into you have the abilities, but the more you control your emotions, the more you control and figure out like, who you really are and how you are at peace with your emotions, then you access more of your confident self because you're probably more comfortable of who you are and what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
That is a great way to put it.
I'll add one more perspective, Hore, here. Confidence is your reputation with yourself, and it's constantly changing, right? So it can be built as well, but the reputation at the baseline is always there. There is some level of reputation, and then you're like, oh, I'm more confident, I built it, I went to this level because of experience and practice and all of that. So yes, you're absolutely right, it gets built, but the baseline never zero. There's always some level of confidence that exists.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool, cool, cool. I'll do a quick timeout. And again, I've missed something at the start. I just wanted to give you a heads up. There is a guy on my roof trying to do some roof gutter installation. Now, this
Works.
was not supposed to happen at the start of this time. Like, this was supposed to finish like early on. I wanted to let you know that, look, there could be a possible interruption where I have to run out and tell bye to him and close the door.
That's all right.
I'll get back into it. So, thank you so much for that tip on confidence. And it's a great way to look at it from the access perspective and from your own reputation with yourself, because that's it's something that we don't think about because we are always thinking about how we appear to the outside world. But the person who mostly cares about us is us. We care about how others look at us. We care about what is the way in which we show up to others. So there is a reputation for us with our own self where sometimes your actions fall short of it and you're like, nah, I should have done better. Or sometimes you exceed your expectation and then your reputation increases. So yeah, that is a great way to visualize confidence. I do want to talk about the methodology that you use for building up your leaders in terms of leadership confidence. And this is something that you've created yourself, which is amazing. Can you give us a little bit of an insight into the methodology, what it's called, and some insights into it?
Yes, absolutely. It's something I'm super excited about. It is still something I'm working on. It's not the final model because I want it to work. I want it to be covering a lot of aspects, and I still haven't reach there, but the overall model is gonna be like it's finalized. It's just the nitty gritties and the details. It's called SLAM, Strategic Leadership Alignment Model. It's a way of structured thinking and decision making, because what happens is that we are so like swamped with other people's opinions, stuff that's happening, our situation, the challenge, the environment, that what we do is we end up taking action quicker than we need to. Sometimes we're told something and we'll just immediately execute it, not listen to our gut instinct, not listen to ourselves, just execute. Why? Because there's pressure, there's stress. I gotta do this, I gotta complete this. What happens is, in retrospect, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I should have listened to myself. And if I did, I would have done a better job. I would have done this, I would have thought about this, I would have looked at this perspective. But because the whole idea of sitting down by yourself and thinking and deciding is so overwhelming and time consuming, people avoid that. People are like, let's just get things done. Action, action, action. Slam is that process or framework that kind of comes in between the intention that you have and the action that you're going to take. So in between, how about looking into it from different perspectives and have like a whole thinking approach around it so you can do a better job at the action that comes later. If the planning stage or the thinking stage has been done effectively, the action is like the action comes out beautifully. It's what you want. It's the actions give you the results much more quicker, right? Rather than constantly trying and
Amazing.
saying, no, that work, that didn't work. So SLAM is a 4-step model where you look into what is your intention, the goals, what do you really want to do, purpose. A lot of things can come into that step. And then the L is listen to lead. We listen to execute. We need to listen to lead. And that's the basic shift that we need to make. Let's not execute, let's lead. And leadership needs so much more, requires so much more than just execution. It's about knowing, it's
Absolutely.
about, I mean, leading itself. It's about really choosing the right approach and then really looking at, how do you make it work in the best way possible. So L is listen to lead, and it's like there's actually models within the model where I teach exactly how to be able to do that in a very structured approach. Then A is align for action, which is okay, you've got like your emotions are telling you one thing, your fears telling you another thing, your line manager is telling you a third thing. How do you align it all to come to a conclusion or a solution that works best in this scenario? So the alignment is necessary so that the action you take is something that you've 100% there's a buy-in from you, rather than I'm just going to do it because I'm being told, and within yourself you're not comfortable. It focuses on that intuition or that gut instinct that all of us have. It's a superpower. We don't use it enough. So alignment within ourselves gives us that. And then manage and
Absolutely.
modulate is the last step, which is all about taking action, but then also feedback. And feedback changes everything. So keep taking feedback and keep changing your approach. Keep building on it. Keep making it better. And then the cycle continues. And you better your intention. You better your ability to listen, to take action, and then you again manage it all. And that's the framework
Absolutely
in
awesome. Yeah, because
summary.
it is and which is why I love it, because it's a very comprehensive sort of model, where you're starting at you're starting at one of the aspects, but then you end up with the feedback aspect of it, and then it routes it back again. I do want to touch on that alignment piece a little bit, just so that I call out that I believe that is one of the most important aspects in leadership, is where you try and align one with your values and yourself, but also with the intentions of the organizations and the intentions of the team, right? So
Yes.
the places where I have worked, and I liked working there, has a lot of autonomy built into the space, which means that as leaders we are not too pressured into exactly how you're supposed to do things, and as leaders you don't pressure the teams into exactly how you want to do things. Like, you give people a little bit of room to move, to autonomously make some decisions. Now where it works really well is when you are actually aligned. If you are aligned with the organization, your leader, and your team is aligned with you, then it the environment becomes possible that you can provide that autonomous decision making. Whereas if it is completely misaligned, what people do is try to take back control. They would be like, no, 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 you have to do it this way. So then comes the bad parts of management like micromanagement, because you're trying to gain control, somebody else is trying to gain control where things are not really aligned and everybody is trying to go in different directions. So I love that your model actually um, addresses that piece and solves for it as well.
Yes,
Cool.
it's uh, so the model itself, Hooray, sorry, I think I interrupted you. I apologize. The
No, no,
model
no, that's
itself
fine.
is like based on so many models, but the real like the biggest model that I am like very I'm very passionate about is IFS, internal family systems. And internal family systems is a complete way of living, and it's all about alignment within yourself. And once you align within yourself, there's a whole framework around how you align other people. It's all about communication, right? But the way you communicate changes everything. If you're able to read the room, if you're able to read the emotions, the fears, because that's the biggest resistances you have that stops you from alignment. If you're able to address them, first understand them and then address them, the alignment is the best. Like you get it, you align people. And the biggest leaders, why they have so many followers, because they aligned those followers on the intention and then told them the strategy to achieve that intention, and people loved it and people wanted to do it. They got aligned, right? so
Yes, yes.
so this is important, and you're right, alignment is such a beautiful skill to have. It's one of the biggest leadership capabilities we can build within ourselves, the ability to align other people to course of action or the ultimate goal or objective or KPIs, whatever it is that you want people to follow you on. Alignment is how you do it.
Yeah. And one of the other words that come into mind for that um, is transparency, because you cannot align if you're not transparent enough. So you can't hide your intentions and then say that, look, I need to build alignment with my team. So the only way to build true alignment is to be transparent about your intentions, to be transparent about your problems. Look, these are the problems that we are trying to solve, and this is where we are going. These are areas that are being taken care of, because the delegation factor is also quite interesting when, say, for example, team members want to contribute more to the strategy, more to the organization, and sometimes there's a bit of an overcrowding in a space. So you would need to be very transparent about, okay, these are the areas that we're addressing, these are the intentions we are having in terms of our goals, and this is how we have divided the work as well. So this is where we see your part being played out. At least people know how they are contributing to the larger picture, and that gives them the motivation factor to actually give their 100%.
Yes.
And it's so important. Now, the last part of your or the third part, I would say, not last, because again, you might bring in new services in the future. We started with self leadership and understanding ourselves. We started with then, we moved into aligning ourselves with the teams, leading our teams. And what I found very interesting and quite unique to your offering is that you have a healing element to it as well. There is a healing based session, self healing. Now, that piqued my interest quite a bit as well. And I could see that there's a lot of people who have given you extremely positive feedback. And this is again me recounting the fact that I saw your programs to be so holistic that it looks at self, it looks at team, and it looks at the healing component of it. Can you please give me a little bit more insight into one, what prompted you to go down that path, and also what does that contain?
Thank you so much, Hooray. What prompted me? Everything has been a result of experience through my journey. And when I started working as a career coach, Hooray, first thing I noticed was I was helping people with their resume and with their interviews. Okay, what question can you answer? What's gonna happen when you're asked this question? Tell me about yourself. The missing piece, no confidence or zero confidence, because somebody who's just been made redundant, they've been, they feel rejected. And when they feel rejected, the confidence is low and the doubt is high. If the confidence is low, how can they appear for their interviews and do a great job? So from there onwards, I was like, I'm not completely providing the service I'm supposed to provide. I'm a career coach, but they're struggling with confidence and I can't help them. That's when I started with my qualifications. I was a career certified career coach before, but then I did my certifications and I became a confidence coach. When I was a confidence coach and I started helping people with their confidence, I realized there is so much hurt that exists within us. And that is the reason the confidence is dipped. Yes, there's a situation where, okay, I've been made redundant, so my confidence has taken a dip. But then what it connects to is the fear or the belief that I am not good enough, and that has come because of the past hurts. And then I realized I can't help people with their confidence if they're still hurting from these hurts that came from previous rejections, previous mistreatments, and that is a major reason why their confidence is not where it needs to be. And hence it's very important for them to heal from that, so that they have that access to confidence nonstop, and that the hurt doesn't come in the way every time they want to access their confidence. So the hurt lies at the very bottom of all these layers that we have on, that we are dealing with. And the hurt feeds into your fear and your self doubt, and the healing is all about going deep into yourself and just healing that hurt. And there are ways to do it. There's so much out there. There's so many modalities that help you do it. There's so many professions, psychotherapy. Like there's so much that's happening right now that helps you with the hurt. But I wanted to pick up a coaching element to it and then help people with their hurt using coaching. And that has been such a beautiful experience for me.
Yeah, and it's been and the way I understand is that it is mostly self-led. So you're providing an environment where it is more self-led. And can you explain a little bit about the process, just a peek, so that people understand how.
So our body has capacity to heal. When we hurt ourselves, the bodies get try to work. Yes, you need a little bit of aid from outside, but you heal yourself. Your healing has to be self-led. All the modalities that are taught to us are eventually it's all about you doing the work. Nobody else can do the work for you. You have to go within yourself and face your fears and your hurts and then move past them. And again, IFS is a model that I use heavily in this course because it teaches you a way to heal yourself. It's based on the idea that you've got many parts within you, and all of these parts got created because of a previous experience. And the hurt part got created when you were little and you were shouted at or you were punished. There was a hurt that got created within you. And IFS states that that hurt kind of froze in that moment. And whenever something from the situation triggers that hurt, it comes out. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 40, 50, 60. But if that hurt is triggered, it's still there unless you heal it. So IFS teaches you a number of steps that can be used to heal that hurt. It's deep inner work, and I teach you those steps so that you're able to then self-heal using those steps. And that's what the program's about.
Cool, awesome. That's great to know, and it connects back to that discovery piece, right? Like, we are trying to understand how we are now, how we react to the stimuli and the situations that are around us. And a part of that is because of experiences that we have had, especially when you're going through a tough experience like rejection or redundancy, because redundancy is a form of rejection as well. Even if you know that this particular company is shedding 6,000 jobs and you're one of the 6,000, you still feel that to be quite personal. And I remember from my redundancy experience previously is that I took some time to heal from it, as well as in to put that behind me, to know that it is okay. It was a big decision by a big company in a particular stage where they had to reduce numbers, right? And to actually understand that there are other places where you can add value, and you can use that experience to build even more value. That is quite important. So that kind of brings that holistic side to it, where you know yourself, you know how you react to certain triggers, and you know why, so that you can actually have a measured response to some of these things. And I believe this topic is quite relevant in today's world, because if you have seen the headlines, there are a lot of jobs being shed in Australia, and especially in the white collar IT sector as well. And that is not a very common occurrence. It is a common occurrence to have organizations reshaping their organizations. There's a round of redundancies. It's been happening for a while, but I believe this time around it's been a little bit more prevalent in the market. So I think there's a lot of people who would hear this and understand that there is a path through this, right? Because the only way is through it to the other side, experience what you're experiencing, understand it, figure out how to build your confidence back together, and get to the other side.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's all right to ask for help. That's one of the major areas that I see many people struggle with. They just feel that they have to figure it themselves out. And they can't, like, nobody else can be in their shoes and know what they've been through and hence can help them. But I would say that's not true. There's all kinds of amazing methods available out there that are going to help you be better, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own success, and for you to be able to achieve it, you're going to make that choice to invest in yourself, in your improvement, to be better. It's your choice for you. It's nobody else's decision or choice. It's yours. And if you want to really, be successful, have a fantastic career, whatever is stopping you from doing that is giving you feedback that this needs work. And if you can't do it by yourself, ask for help, ask for a mentor, ask for a coach. And I can assure you that it is entirely possible to move to the other side and get to and arrive at that, a successful career that you're dreaming to achieve.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for that, because I personally know a lot of people who are currently looking at the next contract or work. I'm personally looking at my next contract as well. But there's a group of people that meet together once a while in in our suburbs in Melbourne, in the city, where they share their experiences, right? In terms of, okay, look, this is how my job search is going on. And I've been fortunate to have friends who checked in with me often in terms of, hey, how's your job search going? Did you hear anything? And I do that for my friends where I know that they're going through something tough as well, because sometimes it is quite hard to ask for help. And sometimes it is hard for you to reach out to others as well, because you don't know whether you are actually or whether you are invading their privacy. But sometimes it is okay to reach out and ask, like, hey, how are you going? Because there's quite a bit of job losses going on in the current sort of Melbourne, not just Melbourne. I think it is an Australia-wide phenomenon, at least this past half a year.
It's a US wide phenomena. It's a Canada wide phenomena, because I work with so many people out there in Canada and US. It's everywhere. We are going through a major recession phase. Plus AI, there's so much change happening in right now around us, and it can impact our confidence like anything. We're afraid of our jobs. We're afraid of the future. We're afraid of everything right now, and the best way forward is to talk it out, to have friends, to have a community, to have people who can support you. Otherwise, it's going to be hard. You'll feel stuck. And there's major
Absolutely,
reasons
absolutely.
out there that are not working in your favor than they are. So, it's important for you to, pick your, make that choice that there's so much out there that's stopping me. How do I move through this?
Absolutely. And I might end with one last question. You asked about, sorry, you mentioned AI, and I know a lot of people are using their AI agents to talk to get guidance, get confidence, get things. Now, I'm actually not sure whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I have seen that people have used AI during their job loss time, and at one point struggled with the overly positive messages that AI provides them, because I haven't seen an AI double check what someone is saying and say that, look, that may not be right. I mean, have you actually thought about this a second time? It's usually always, that looks like a great idea. Here's something else you can think about, right? Because it is prompting a lot more generative text for you. Do you have a thought on that?
I do. And I started checking AI out for coaching. That was like back in 2024, like a year back. And when I interacted with it, because I tried many models, I was like, okay, how is AI coming across as a coach? Because I see people like trying to talk to it and utilize its coaching services. And what came across wasn't impressive at all. At that point in time, I was like, nah, it's not going to help. Look at it. It's got such surface level answers that it's giving me. But over a year, I've seen tremendous growth. I see today, like a year later, when I ask the same questions, I get beautiful responses. But then again, when you start going into the depth, that's where the problem starts. I do feel that AI has the capacity to help us, but then you need to know where you need to know to what extent, to what point. And is AI your solution? Yes, it will give you a head start 100%. But if you want to go, if you really want to, achieve something, that's your intention, is AI the only way you can get there? Or it's going to get you 30-40%, and then after that, you need a little bit more?
It's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. You need to know when to stop and when to seek human intervention rather than AI based intervention. I do know about one of my friend who went through a career transition journey. He was using AI extensively, but it did lead him down the wrong track in terms of encouraging him to try out a lot of things, but wasn't helpful in clearing out the noise around it, right? Because it kind of affirmed the things that he was going through, and or he was asking it,
Yeah.
and then tried to lead him down a path of, okay, you can try that. Obviously, yes, you can try that, instead of sometimes taking a step back and saying that, hang on, but you were already trying the other one. What happened to it? Like,
100%.
where are you focused, right? Sometimes you need something that can put that focus back for you. And maybe, like you said, in a year's time, AI would have that context of asking, are you doing something else as well? What is your limit? What is your time limit? Where is your focus? But probably right now it has to develop a little bit more in that space.
It's this new shiny toy everybody is super like addicted to right now, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. It gives you what you want, but at the end of the day, it's how you use it. Human intervention will never end. It has to be there if you want to really find out what's like the best approach for you. And a hybrid mix, I think moving forward would be a great way forward, where you're using it AI capabilities, but also utilizing this human support or human element into your decision making mix. But yeah, it's such a massive transition for us all. It still remains to be seen, where it's gonna land.
Absolutely. And look, the future is exciting because we can see that technology is taking shape so rapidly that we didn't imagine, or we couldn't imagine how 2025 would be in 2020, nor in 2022, I guess. So it's getting harder to predict 3 years away. So I believe the only thing that we have are our core values, standing of ourselves, how we lead ourselves as humans, and how we interact with each other. With that, look, I want to thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing thoughts with us. Do you have any other closing comments that you want to share?
Thank you so much, Hore. This is needed. What you're doing is amazing. We need more conversations, more insights, more thoughts from people like you who've seen so many aspects. You've seen a redundancy, you've seen how things are as a leader. I think it's important to share personal experiences far more than, automated stuff or digitized stuff. And that's what you're doing. You're having real conversations with real people while you share your own experience. I can tell you it's the need of the hour, and I'm hoping that it gets spread out and reaches people who needed to hear this today.
Thank you so much for that, Kim. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Hooray. It was a pleasure being here. Bye.